It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnett Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with my co-host,
Barnett Bain. It's great to be here this morning. We were just saying before our chaos that we generate every time before the show, like after 3 years, it's still chaos. We were just saying how great it feels today. It just feels smoother and like some of the wildness of all the energy.
Second time in the new studio, so we feel
So now it's
we still don't know how to do anything with the equipment, but
it's so familiar to us. I'm just seeing if I'm scheduled to be here today.
That's nice.
Yeah, I am. So all that is good.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
How are you?
Devices off. I'm doing well. You know,
I have to go ahead.
I was going to tell you about my rant. But you heard my rant, so I don't really have to tell you.
Yes.
About
No, but you can bore everybody.
No. Listen, I want to spend as little time in my rant mode as possible.
Oh, it was a great rant.
It was.
What do you want to say about that rant?
I don't know. I think that the only thing I really want to say about a rant, is that every once in a while, it's worth having just a really good rant. One of the things we've done, which I like, and this is old news, but just if I can say part of me feels this way, so I'm not fully committed, and then I can commit to the part of me that really wants to go nuts with this little small story about how I'm being, persecuted or whatever. It kind of liberates me. Like, okay, I got that out. Now I can move into a consciousness around whatever it is that's more constructive. So,
well, there's a choice piece, Is it a choice? Yes. Who's making the choice? An aspect of myself.
Right.
What part of that? What aspect is making that choice? And now I'm not identified with it. I'm in relationship with it. Can I love that part of me that's making the choice? Yes. And can I make a superseding choice?
Yeah.
Often I'm able to, and sometimes I'm not. And I can be with that. But it's no longer happening to me. I can say that as if I...
Totally.
Because I'm not triggered today. But don't ask me last week.
Or don't ask me in the moment.
Or next week.
That refractory period. I don't remember which of our guests brought that in.
That word, refractory?
Yeah.
Are you have a license to use that word?
You do need a license. The idea is that we're gripped by it, right? And that it's held, it's holding our consciousness. It's holding us.
Yeah.
And so just this element of kind of, getting a little space and, creating a little space where there's some ability, some possibility of an observer. Observer?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again.
An observer.
Last week, I had a horrible time with my diction.
An observer.
Observer.
Blaine Bartlett was just calling in on the...
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that great?
We should have got him in the conversation.
We should have, but I cut him off.
Next segment.
So, we have this in our new studio setup. Those of you that are watching, let me just get this. Hey, Blaine, you're on air. Good morning. Yeah, you're on air. So I'm holding that up to the camera. So this is a friend of the show, Blaine Bartlett. It is great to have you call in, but I will check back with you
after.
Off air. Give my love to Cynthia Kersey, Unstoppable Foundation, folks. Donate now. And we will check in with you later. Love you. Bye. So those of our viewers that are watching this on YouTube realize that we're not alone.
No, we're not alone. You should do something about that. Introduce our guest.
I should introduce our guest because usually, what happens here is we ramble on for 4 or 5 minutes, and then we introduce our guest, mysterious guest, and they join in whatever we're talking about. But it's a little odd because you don't go unnoticed, and you're sitting here on camera. So I'm going to introduce you. And I have my notes here. Rikka Zimmerman is the creator of Adventure in Oneness. She's also an international speaker, author, teacher, and friend. So I should have known that by heart. So we are so grateful to have you with us in our glorious new studio digs.
Thank you so much. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with both of you guys.
How do you like the room?
I love it. I love it.
So that props go to our producer and guru
he
Spence.
Upgraded us to these digs.
Yeah, he did. He did. He didn't get us parking, but one thing.
we're still ratcheting up. By next month, maybe. So we opened talking a little bit about, getting triggered and having this experience where there's a particular reality playing out that feels very real in the moment, but there's enough of us that knows that there may be other options, other ways of interpreting and perceiving and conceiving of our experience. And I know that this pertains in some way to what you do, because your work is about helping folks to kind of see this stuff and navigate it. So chime in.
Absolutely. And, letting go of those positions, letting go of those definitions of us that keep us either on the defense or on the agreement with those limitations. For sure.
So we are so identified with who we have been.
And who we think we are.
And who we think we are.
Which we're not.
We have no idea. Whatever we think, whatever we think is we're trapped inside whatever we think. And
exactly.
That's a beautiful place to be. And when we want to grow beyond it, there's that kind of
it isn't always a beautiful place to be. It
isn't always.
Can be awfully. I mean, we can be recreating some pretty nasty stuff, and it's not required.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I agree. And it's like there's no better time than now to actually let go of the positions that are holding each of us captive. It's like our bodies and our energies are some of the most sophisticated instruments of consciousness on the planet. It's like the way I see it is we can heal oceans. We can do amazing things together if we're willing to unlimit us, if we're willing to let go of the identity and move into just being the oneness that we are.
You see, I knew I had a better body than
you got a much better body than your manifesting. What I love about what you're saying is and I'm reading a little bit in, but not much because I feel like you're saying this, the understanding that it's already there.
Yes.
So I think, one of the things, because we get a lot of law of attraction people, and we've kind of, splashed around those waters a bit, and the challenge with sort of the efforting with the abundance, the whole, I'm going to do all these things and attract abundance. I'm the attractor. I'm attracting versus what I hear you saying, which is more of an allowing. In other words, the abundance exists almost as a frequency on the other side of our self-perception.
Yeah.
That if we can put down our self-perception,
it's just there.
Voila.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very different orientation than how most people in our world are approaching this.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at the law of attraction and you being the creator, there's no co-creation with the universe in that, right? So you miss out on probably 100% of your energy and the contribution that we can all be to each other with that thing of you being the creator of it and you pushing it forward, and you're always the one that has to do it. And it also creates a system of judgment because if it hasn't shown up, who's wrong?
Yeah,
you make yourself
yourself wrong.
So I wonder if we do story making about ourselves, about everything, we shoehorn the energies of unlimited possibility and unlimited dimensions, and we horn them into the time and space, and we stretch them into our love affair with the straight line, and we do logic and reason, and we make these stories.
Yeah.
And then in the doing and in the being of that, we are creating our realities by a process of filtering. And then we come to an understanding that we are creating our own realities. And when we do, it flips, because the moment we actually get that we do, we aren't. So we're creating it by filtering. And then when we understand that, suddenly we're not creating. Now we're open to what has really been going on all the time. We've been held in this co-creative womb of love that has allowed us to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then we get it, and now we have the opportunity to be in this co-creative dance that is much larger than any story we can hold. Stories start to get pretty loosey-goosey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, is the oneness of the universe thinking or putting stuff into linear thought patterns? Or is the oneness of the universe just basically here to resolve any disharmonized energy? Right? So if there's a low vibrating glass of water and a high vibrating glass of water, the low vibrating glass of water energetically reaches out to the high one and raises its vibration. So the way I see it is consciousness is just always expanding. All the low vibrations are searching for the light. And that's basically the way that I see the universe working. So here we are interpreting all of that shift into thought patterns. which isn't actually the language of oneness. It's not the way the universe actually communicates. That's like, and how often does your thinking mind actually talk you out of what you know and talk you out of being and really being present for your life and really receiving it? So we've been under the system of trying to speak a foreign language to the universe, and the universe doesn't work in thought patterns. It doesn't even understand what you're saying. Now, it does get it energetically, right? So if you're in that space of having, it meets you where you are. If you're in that resistance, it might try to bring up that resistance to bring you into love. And the way I see it is the universe has basically one mission, and that's to return each of us to love. So whatever that takes, it's on that track.
Love it. It's been said before on this show that when it all sort of hashes out, we say, oh, love it. Can I love it? Even the part of me that wants to fix it.
Yeah.
Because that, of course, is generating more things to fix. And then we're in this space of like, wow, the fix it storyline is a heavy duty storyline versus what you were saying. What if you're perfect?
Yeah.
Which if we can imagine that, and for a lot of folks, that's a really tricky thing to imagine because the prevailing programming and conditioning is that we're not.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I mean, we can stick with that story, but it's not the most empowered storyline.
Yeah, and there's a lot of kind of old emotional content and stuck energy that goes along with, people living in this world and trying to interpret and resisting what's going on around them and creating positions based on what's going on around them. So the way I see it is like what is what is, right? And us as creators of our own realities.
What is what is. Sounds like a hip-hop song.
Yeah, what is what is, right? So since what is what is, and the universe or oneness is just the isness that is, there's no perspective in that, right? We take that perspective, grab it from, the universe or God's hands, and then do really nasty things with it. Right? And every bit of distorting that harmony into disharmony, it's more like it's done with the mind, and then it creates the illusion of density and matter in the body and in your experience of your energetic field. So we've been basically distorting God or the universe ever since we decided we could think and that we were the creators and that this thing was wrong and this thing was right. When really all of the universe has really been attempting to bring us back into harmony in every moment. And we go, oh my God, it betrayed me. Well, did it? Or was that part of the information that you needed to bring up in you to let it see that harmony and that light and let it return to the universe or God? So
I have a dear friend, who reminds me time and again that it was never meant to be this painful.
Yeah.
I
can't put down my pain, though.
Yes,
I'm addicted to it, as our friend Joe Dispenza said last week. Right?
Yeah. We come in, we return home, we return to the oneness, but lit now, with an awareness. And I have another friend. I have to bring them all in one day.
Well, they've all been in.
Well, this one hasn't.
Good.
My dear friend Maury, who's like now 95 years old.
Oh, we got to get Maury in.
We've talked about him on
that's
the show.
right. He's been referenced too many times. He needs to come in the room.
He actually, many years ago, he introduced me to, I was having writer's block, and he was my therapist. This is like 30, he said, let's just forget psychology because it's not going to get you where you want to go. And he introduced me to spirituality and metaphysics. So, but Maury always used to say, we do the double pretend. We pretended, and we all have this experience. You ever pretend you're in an argument, or you pretend something, you just pretended, and somehow it flips, and you forget that you pretended.
Absolutely.
And it becomes real. So this knowing that of the oneness, and then an experience of, well, what would it like to experience separation? What would it be like to pretend that there's a subject and an object? And then put on lights one at a time, and then return to the love fully lit with an awareness of who we really are, and then merge back into the oneness. But it was never intended to be that painful. We really got a head of steam up on it and made it difficult.
Thank God our bodies would be willing to show us a pain or a discomfort or a disharmony, right? Because if they were like, I'm oneness no matter what, they're not going to teach us. They're not going to show us who we are, and part of their job as conscious beings is to go, hey, here's your illusion, and here's the doorway out at the same time.
So you're talking about our physical bodies,
and
you're talking about our physical
collective
bodies,
body.
and the collective body, and the world body. There's the inner world and the
Ecology
outer
body.
world. So you're talking about the outer world as body. Yeah.
Physical reality.
And was that a time waving that was happening
I'm all
over
over
there
this.
from
So here's what I want to do, because we do have to take a break.
Let's do it.
But there's two things
Whatever
I
you
want to
wanna
bring
do.
up on the tail of this so we can pick up when we get back. The harmony issue is very interesting because I know you're a singer, and part of the artistic process as a way of navigating at a different sort of frequency, to use the sound vibration analogy, which is quite literal, but also metaphorical, as a way of navigating. I want to kind of maybe bring that up. And the other thing I want to bring up, too, is where the thinking mind fits, because we don't want to eliminate it entirely. We don't want to demonize the thinking mind.
No.
How does it get integrated? So we got two things we're going to kind of ponder and play with. When we get back...
And when we come back, we're going to come in to some of Rikka Zimmerman's music. So
Beautiful.
Stick around for that. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you.
I'm just I'm always so shocked and surprised that people are still there. It's just like, I don't take anything for granted.
That is fantastic. Oh, thank you so much. That was great.
Well, now we've just lost like half the drive crowd. They just got diabetes from us. But I do appreciate anybody that sticks around while we sell cars and insurance and dental care.
Those are important things.
Those are very important, but it is also important to be back here with you, of course, Freeman, and with Rikka Zimmerman. And well, you just heard a little bit from Rikka, and there'll be more soon, and we'll tell you where you can hear much more from her, both musically and what she's doing and where she's speaking and what she's writing and what she's teaching. And but we broke before, Freeman. You were saying something about harmony, and I know
I don't know what I was saying.
I don't remember. That's why I'm tossing it to you. It had to do with
harmonics.
The place as we integrate both what we are feeling and what we are thinking and what arises in the space between. It's important for us to remember not to vilify the thinking process, which so many in our community are so down on thinking. So I really want to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the way I see it is your cognitive mind is sort of like this instrument that lets you know what you're still buying into. Like, and first off, how cool is that, right? That we have something that can indicate, hey, we still have this active in our system. You know, this is still part of the identity that we believe in over knowing who we are. So in a way, it's a beautiful thing. And each of us have created sort of these energetic cages that we almost live in, like an electric doggy fence, right? And as you're kind of moving out of
That's
those...
the technical spirit.
That's the spiritual
term. I'm writing
electric
that down.
Doggy fence.
The electric doggy fence. Yeah, no, well, that explains a lot.
No, but
it
check
does.
this
Now
out,
I get it.
No,
Okay.
you get a little
So,
shock. This is actually
right?
great. Can you hold on
Yeah.
just for a
I
second?
need to stay
sure.
back in the
Because
box.
when you go beyond that, you get a little shock. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's true about
No, you
our
stay
sort
in the
of
box,
construct.
you get a doggy treat.
You do, from reality, right? Because you get validated by people. They approve of you. You're not being too much energy, right? So that's true. You do get a doggy treat from people in this world. So it's the way I see it, it's like as oneness, right? We come in and then we start beginning to create walls of separation, and it limits our energetic field. It limits what we can actually be. Now, each of us have put every one of those electric doggy fences in place. So as you're expanding, you might find that you hit those doggy fences, right? Say you were being too much energy for people, and it was unraveling them so much, it was actually releasing so much pain, they said, you hurt me. And you go, oh my God, I don't want to hurt people. Let me limit what I'm going to be, right? And as you're leaving that field of energy and from at this point moving into more consciousness, you might find stuff comes up like, oh my God, I don't want to hurt people if I go any further, or I'm scared of the energy that's outside of this, or I'm overwhelmed by the energy that's outside of this. Or so in a way, it's sort of this energetic gatekeeper, and it lets you know what you put in place that was keeping you in that box and in that doggy fence. Does it sort of make sense?
Absolutely.
So it's a bit of an indicator. And you can actually kind of pay attention to your cognitive mind and your thought patterns to see, wow, what am I not being with? You know, where do I close my energy off? Where have I identified myself? Where am I still in resistance? So it's really a beautiful, beautiful thing.
So I'm guessing, wow, we're either having epileptic seizures. I love our new studio.
It's the strobe lights.
It's the disco. It's the disco.
Dancing.
So there's also a emotional doggy fence.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that may be sort of that old stuff that's coming up as you're expanding. Right?
I like the part of this analogy too with the doggy treats is because the whole concept of doggy treats is we perform for them.
Yes.
Right. We perform for these, and they're less than extraordinary, right?
Yes.
Right around
doggy
treats
treats.
is like, really, that's it? Because your dog would love to have a steak, and you're giving it this
it's
little
like a savage
dry...
word. We'll perform for treats.
Right, we'll perform for treats. So that's a nice piece of the analogy too, where we're doing all this work for these little bits of next to nothing.
Well, some of them are
calling
not.
This fulfillment.
They're not all little. They're not all little. I mean, we are performing from a very, very young age because we're socialized out of our families and our education and entertainment and our religions and everything that socializes us, and our lives are about overcoming the feeling of lack and getting strokes, emotional, mental, physical. So our lives, and they can be very, very beautiful, are about performing for love.
Until, and this is the point you were making, we can imagine the possibility that we're perfect. Until we can imagine
or we can imagine the possibility that we're enough. Because the concept of perfect is
perfect
already such a head trick.
I understand that. Perfect, complete with all the imperfections. I don't mean
am I getting enough love?
Right.
Am I good enough for love?
Right,
do
right,
I need to do this? Right. And I'm enough.
Yeah. And we can stop performing for doggy treats at that point.
Yeah, and it's like, what if each of us are really the embodiment of God? So
What
it's
if?
like, how could that not
What
be
if?
beyond perfect? How could that not be all inclusive of everything? How could that not be full and overflowing? How could that not be everything that we really are?
All right, I'm going to do something. This is making me a little crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want our audience to see your pretty face. And the truth is, I keep staring at this little screen, saying, "All right, this isn't good."
He said the same thing to Joe Dispenza, by the way.
I did.
He said, "I just want to see your pretty face."
Yeah. So I want to transition.
Before we move on, can we just
not transition.
do a quick little thing with a cognitive mind?
Sure.
Because it's almost as if we've put our power into our cognitive mind. We've let it run our lives. We've deferred our own energy to it. Like, hey, you lead the show, right? And we have these ideas like, if we figure everything out, we're going to be okay, right?
Like we're going to outthink life.
Yeah, right. Except, can you figure out infinite being? You can't really. So if you're in it for you energetically really having everything that you are, it's unfigure-outable. Right?
Unfigure-outable.
Yeah.
It goes with my isness.
Well,
Yes.
This language is completely fantastic.
This is a huge point that you're making.
Yeah.
So I want to bend back towards it because I know there's much more that you can say about that.
Yeah, and it's really letting go of where we have all of these ideas figured out, which are actually just a whole bunch of limitations and are keeping you stuck in that sort of energetic doggy fence, right? So the sooner we're willing to know, oh my goodness, there's nothing to figure out. Look at how unengaged you are with limitation if there's nothing to figure out about limitation. Do you see how that creates a whole bunch of freedom in your energetic field? And then the other piece is like, can you understand infinite being?
No.
Or no, can you understand a miracle?
Yes. You can experience a miracle. You can't understand a miracle.
You can't understand it.
It's not a logical thing.
It's
the
not a
point
logical
of a miracle
thing.
is it is something that it's a crack in the cosmic egg where the light shines through.
Yeah, and each of you are the crack in the cosmic egg.
Yeah.
That's who you really are. So if you're willing to let go and open up energetically, you can be that crack and shift the world.
And going back to the first piece of the infiniteness, from a mind standpoint, is very hard to grasp conceptually, right? But from the felt experience, there may be more than one feeling, mixed feelings again. We were joking earlier about my mixed feelings, and I have them all the time. That I can be both scared and excited, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, because something beyond my knowing is inviting me. And at the same time, but I don't know what it is. And this is where we get tripped because the mind doesn't handle that well.
Yeah, and the way I look at the fear system is sort of like, are we infinite beings that are actually infinite energy? I mean, I say yes. What do you guys say?
I'm voting with you.
Right? So if we're infinite beings and
I'm
we're
putting
actually...
all my chips over there.
That's right.
So if we're infinite beings and we're actually infinite energy, then how could we have fear about energy we already are? Yeah. So if you're willing to walk your cognitive mind through it, when you go through those positions, it's like, hey, sweetheart, I got you. Take a breath. It's okay, right? Because the mind doesn't feel safe and infinite yet. It's not quite there yet.
I'm thinking even of walking the cognitive mind through the mind field.
Yes.
Of all these little thoughts that pop up and say, yeah, but, right? Because that is really what we're going to come to.
Yeah.
Is there's some element of practice of training the brain, as it were, so that we're less apt to run down the less constructive paths and more open to possibility. Yeah. We don't always have to know and be in control, and then life gets really fun and exciting and all kinds of crazy stuff starts popping up and we think, wow, miracles. This is cool. You know, and then it's not so terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's not so tucked in. You're not living inside the electric doggy fence.
So it's a lot like jazz, to transition to the music concept. So let's talk about this music experience, which blends, or maybe it doesn't blend. Maybe it's just a great expression of this other way of operating for you in the world that has a whole lot of unknown, but is pretty magical.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
As far as the harmony concept?
Yeah, we could go that way.
Or you just want to talk about music?
What are you singing
anyway,
these days?
Yeah, any way you slice it, it comes up peanuts to steal
What are
from
you
my
singing
friends
these
at
days, and
Snickers.
how much fun is it?
Oh my goodness, it's so much fun.
Yeah, well, there.
And what's beautiful about it too is people don't generally resist music. Like you introduce a new concept, right? And people's cognitive minds are like, no, I'm resistant to that because that would change something. As if shifting was a bad thing when all energy is shifting all the time. We're really silly, right? Our cognitive minds are quite silly. So this whole music experience has been really cool because you can deliver the consciousness and the energy and the messages, and people are singing right along. You know,
you're delivering them, whether it's in the lyric or it's not. You're delivering them because it is another energetic expression of who you are that people are more open to sometimes because it's not filtered through their preconceptions about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, one of the things that's been showing up in the last 6 months is toning in class.
Oh, I love toning.
Yeah. So as all their content starts to come up, it's like there'll be a door that sort of opens in the energetic world, and I'll basically bring that being or that energy into their bodies and sort of carry out old information, like whatever's that old disharmonized stuff. And so we've put tons of layers of this toning, like basically 6 months of toning behind the music. So you turn it on and it just kind of like goes in and just lightens up the body. It's really such a beautiful thing.
So you mean that literally as well? You're saying that you have layered in tracks of toning?
Yeah.
I love that.
With it, you can't hear it.
Freeman,
it's just
Freeman
vibrational.
has that too.
Yeah.
He wakes up in the morning with layers of toning.
Yeah, no, toning has been very
Moaning and
important
toning.
for me personally. I mean, toning is a big part of my process, getting in my belly, right? Bringing something to my belly and learning to trust that and the vibratory quality. Because this, I was an actor for many years. So, the language of get in your body, you got to get in your body, which means get out of your head, that it's not a thought. Yeah. There's an experience, and forgive me, audience, for how many times I've said this, but the whole process of discovering and being discovered by this process of this character that exists, especially when we're talking archetypally, it exists as a frequency. It's something I'm tapped into. Yeah. It's a whole life that I haven't necessarily lived, but in the moment of going through it, it's very real and very tangible. And what Barnett said earlier, where the pretending stops being pretending. Yeah. And then we look at our whole life and go, wow, is it all the world a stage, right? Is this all just this? Are we tapping energetically into these frequencies beyond our small self conception and perception and personality or personal reality, as our friend Joe Dispenza likes to call it. You know, that's what the artistic process offers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, what if all limitation, we were just pretending?
That's it.
What if?
You know, it's like such a good pretender. So,
one of the nets of that is we become the motives that propel us through life, our drives, they mature to a more compassionate, a more gracious, flowing state, and we participate with others and we pursue interests and passions out of both our desire to have fun and to give and receive. Yeah. So you as a singer and as a performer, I haven't seen you perform live, but I have seen you on YouTube and other places, and our audience can go there too if you want to have a real treat. There's something that I relate to because I am a creator. We are all creators, but I put a lot of focus and energy and attention into creating art and making art, and so I recognize the shift. The shift where we lose ourselves completely with no awareness of time, space. We're so completely into the groove.
Yeah.
Trance.
Musicians always talk about that. But if you want to see it, folks, if you want to see what a groove looks like, you can watch Rikka on YouTube.
Well, here's another one, too, the workshopping pieces that you do. I know you're going to be in London soon, and so there's another way to experience the work even more directly as a mechanism to shift into this more broad perspective of oneness and more real. And from all of our standpoint, this is more real. Yeah. Real, and then more real, and then more real is sort of upgrading operating systems. Yeah. So let's give folks some info.
Yeah. We actually have some free gifts for everyone. So if you
gifts.
go to...
See, we love that.
Are they wrapped? Do they have ribbons?
Wrapped in a way. So if you go to freegiftsfromrikka.com, free gift from Rikka.
Free gift from Rikka.
Yeah, RIKKA.com. There's a money track there. There's 3 keys to loving you, and there's an inspiration track there, and that's just all for you guys to receive.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll put this up as well on the Cutting Edge Consciousness website.
Perfect.
And we're so thrilled you came and hung with us today.
Oh, my goodness.
You'll come back,
been
right?
A pleasure.
Now that we've figured out how to make the studio comfy.
And then we'll have it figured out. Don't bet on that. Don't bet on that. And for those of you listening, we are going to take a quick break. We'll come back shortly, and we'll wrap this up. So thanks for listening. Stay tuned, because we'll be right back here on Cutting Edge Consciousness.
Welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness, thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with Barnett Bain. Just got you want
to try that?
Got done talking to Rikka Zimmerman. Fantastic
You got done
fun.
finally talking about trying to talk.
I'm not done. I think I'll bumble and fumble along.
Tongue-tied is that's good
not good in radio.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Tongue-tied radio.
You should put that on your reel. Put that on your performance reel.
That's what we'll do. Let's talk about my performance reel, because that's really what my gripe was about. This whole performing game that is truly a track, if you will. You know, using the music
It's
analogy.
an appropriate track. It is an absolutely appropriate track.
I'd like to love it enough so it dissipates more in my experience.
Well, when are you okay. Starting when?
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, it's good.
No, it's really starting when?
Right now.
So what is to prevent you right now from loving that?
I'll tell you what's nothing other than, I think, habit. I mean, again, I kind of hearken back to...
So is it a choice?
Absolutely.
And is
the choice... It doesn't feel
choice
like a choice in the moment.
Is that a choice?
Of course.
So it helps, speaking from my own experience, it helps me to be very aware of these thoughts and these feelings as my choice.
Yeah.
And to consistently reference back who's making it? Is it a choice, and who's making it, and what part of me is making it? Sometimes it can be a smaller or younger part. Sometimes it's just my ego.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the part of me that wants to fit into socialization. Sometimes. But in every case, it is very helpful for me to own that it's my choice. And some of these choices are like choices in the first degree. I'm hungry. And then some of these choices are choices like the second degree. I'm just in the fridge in the middle of the night going through a pint of Ben and Jerry's. And is it really because I'm hungry? No.
Right.
So what else is this about? This is a choice that is feeding something else. So it's the more that I can become aware of all of the intricacies and the nuances of my choice making, the better I am equipped to love them.
Yeah.
And not to be as identified with them, and my ability to be a lucid liver becomes more real.
No, I'm with you. And on the other side of my resistance is a kind of loving it. The compassion would be the expression of love that I'd like to hold it in. That it makes it kind of sweet, like it's okay. And then the reflection that I see coming at me or around me in the world, there's a softness to the pain of proving oneself that I'm so intimate with, because I'm so intimate with the part of me that still feels like I have to prove myself, that it's okay. I mean, it's just, again, we've talked about.
I mean, do you think God's judging you?
Right, of course not.
So, but who is it for me to?
Unless I want to tap into my judging God story, which I've got. I grew up Catholic.
Yes, I judge God. I judge all authority. Can I love that too?
Yeah, that's always the question. Can I love that too? How deep can I go with this?
It's a practice.
Yeah,
and
it is a practice.
It's so clear to me. It's so clear to me that we don't, as we've said before, we don't do sort of premature transcendence syndrome. It is important to go. I mean, listen, how many gazillion years, 6 billion years of the human linear experience of performing and of earning our way to love. And that was a developmentally appropriate evolutionary stage.
Yeah.
And we're at a place where can I outthink life, as we were talking with Rikka? Can I, is struggle really a recipe? Do I really have to judge my way to things? Do I have to earn my way to things? Is logic and reason truly the sine qua non? Is that truly the ultimate way of functioning in the world? Those things have tapped out. Their usefulness, they have been very useful, and we lived inside of, she calls it so beautifully, the electric doggy fence. I just love that. She's such a gift. So the electric doggy fence, that says it all. That was a very, very spacious area for 6 billion years. And that's just this linear time track. What about all the other? But that frequency of development, that's a very big playground.
Yeah.
And it is tapped out now. We are not going to solve the issues that face us as humanity or as individuals inside of that worldview. But there is something more outside of the doggy fence that will resolve many of these challenges.
Yeah. And the tuning into the other frequencies, really those moments where the whole doggy fence evaporates. In the moments
it lifts.
We've said, sometimes it feels like we're popping off.
It's a new doggy fence. It's not a better version of a doggy fence. It's an entirely new. There will always be a doggy fence. You will always. It may not be it's not going to be held linear, but we will always have a constructive experience that will reframe. Listen, creation is still creating. That's the nature of creation. So
I hear you, and the only thing I will say, because I'm not disagreeing, when I have those flow moments, I have them here, I had them acting, I have them in moments in my life where I call them perfect moments, forgive the perfect language, but that's how they feel.
Peak moments.
They feel great. Like, this is it. I want more of this. This is the gooey good stuff. This is, I'm loving it. And I'm loving it. It's fantastic. So, while I'm not creating a hierarchy and saying one is better than the other, look, if I'm in my struggle, and
one's preferable though. It's like
preferable, exactly.
Meat or fish.
Yeah, let's go with one. The one with that, the oneness. Let's go with that, because at the end of the day, that's really just far more fulfilling, which for me is the only measure of success. Was it fun?
The electric doggy fence, and of course Rikka Zimmerman. I just have to reference this. Is sitting in studio with her, and I am quite sure that listeners, if they're still and they're quiet, if they're moving through traffic, that's one thing. I really hope you weren't still and quiet, because I hope we're not going to hear about,
right. Don't do that. Don't meditate in your car.
Yeah, bumper things.
Not good.
But there is a transmission that she puts out. There's an energetic experience that she puts out that is very palpable, and it is a field experience. So when we're talking about accessing energies and resonance that are beyond logic and reason, not that we're blooming logic and reason, but there is logic and reason is not the frontier of who we are as human beings, but it is the boundary of our control. If we just sort of flow into that, you can feel something in your body. There's a soupiness in the air. And it was very, very dramatic for me when Rikka was with us on air.
Yeah, it's lovely. And the who we trust, who we choose to create environments where this sort of going off the reservation, moving beyond a particular kind of doggy fence, so from the standpoint of workshops, for example, going to someone's workshop and being in the field they create and working with these harmonics and these tones to experience, right, other reference points, other ways of processing information.
Other harmonics.
Harmonics is another piece of the puzzle where, again, so many of the people who are in our world, and they're doing fantastic work, still are coming from a cognitive straight line. Here are the 7 tips. How many books do we get that are 7 tips? And
but it's important.
Again, I'm not dismissing it. I'm just offering that sometimes there are people who come and there's a different way.
Yeah.
You and I both love somatic work, because we've thought about this long enough. We both got to get our gut
I don't
in the
love
game.
anything I can't say.
That's right. Well, you can say somatic.
I can, so I'm
That's
a big
good.
lover of it.
We're in. But the point of it is, a couple guys who've done a lot of work in their heads, and that's not bad. We've all said, okay, it's great. You can have a thought that's very interesting. It takes you, a little bit beyond where you've been. But then there's these other ways of accessing, points beyond. And that's where, obviously for us getting our body in the game. And I love toning, and I love toning in harmony with other people. I love community and collaborating. That's my big commitment, as you know, is that I want to play in the collaborative space. I see that as a different operating system, personally. And so, that's all I really wanted to bring up, is that there are certain people who have an offer of another way of accessing, another way in. And I always love that, whether it's our friend Nick Ortner and tapping, brilliant. Whether it's our friend, Deidre Hayde and Radiance and all the great work she does with the sound stuff that you and I both sat in that room and went, whoa, where are we now, right? All of this, that's why we love our gig, is that we have this wonderful community of people doing such amazing work. So many different ways to, snap out or snap in.
We've said before, we get to invite anybody that we want to come and work on our issues with us.
Right. That's it, though. I mean, that's because the truth is, I'm doing my work. I get where, I embrace what shows up. And even the struggle, prove myself stuff, that's my work. It's here again. Okay, we're doing this today,
Look, I'm almost 60 years old. I have spent most of that in my head. So I'm a very mental guy, and I tap that out. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It is beautiful, and it will not, I will not grow anymore. I can add more data, but I won't grow anymore. And so to have sold myself short at any point or to kind of get down on my cognitive function. And I played that game too. You know, there's all kinds of version of that. There's a lot of men I know who are very down about men.
Yeah, that's not helpful.
You know, that's grist for a whole nother radio show, and we should do that.
Yeah.
But once you start to become toxic to yourself, it isn't helpful. There is a point in our growth and in our awareness where we realize our style, our personality, however you frame it, has maxed out, and that there is diminishing return.
Yep.
And then comes an opportunity for humility to say, well, even though it's always been that way, in the very next second, it could all be different for me. And so I don't have any less love for my ability to be smart. But I am really eager to develop other capacities that are outside of my comfort zone. And when I get stressed, I go up into my head. But so you talked about somatic.
Yeah.
One of the challenges for me is to be in my body without falling asleep or going numb.
Yep.
Rikka comes on, and you know I'm sitting around her, and I don't care whether she speaks or not. There is a
vibratory
energy
quality,
pulse that is
definitely
going out. That puts me, you know, I'm going in, I'm going out, I'm going in, I'm going out, but
I'll have more of that, please.
It works you. It's like it's like sticking your head in a microwave oven.
Yeah, that's a little nicer than that.
It works you, and these things are outside of logic and mystery. There's logic and reason. There's a lot of mystery to be had inside of time and space and logic and reason, but there is a mysticism that exists outside of the electric doggy fence.
So what you and I have both committed to is...
Don't commit me.
Well, and I don't want to get prescriptive either, folks, but we have both gone in the direction of things that are different, you know, because you and I could really get into, you know, something cerebral where we get to play expert. But, you know, this weekend I'm about to go do Mary Morrissey's program. In fact, when this airs, I'll be in it. Her whole dream work, which I'm into. I don't even know much about it. I just like her.
Well, give her a hug for me.
Sign me up. I will. And of course, all of our friends in TLC and ATL, who we just get to go hang out with. But every time there's something that's a little outside of my, you know, on the edge or beyond, you know, we raise our hand. And that's a little piece of the puzzle, at least for me, is what am I risking? You know, what's beyond my small story self that I'm comfortable with? Because I'm committed to growth. I love it. And all those moments when I pop off the reservation. And whether the creative opportunities, obviously you with your films, me with some of my creative endeavors, you know, I'm committed to that. And it's always, you know, a little frightening. I get up on stage every once in a while and it's a little frightening, but I know enough to know that I don't know. That's what we're really talking about. And that there are ways to tap in that I haven't, you know, spent enough time with, you know, or at all, that I'm really willing, because there's a gift and an offer on the other side of my self-perception.
Well, I love that about you. I am attracted more and more, not to being touched, but not by people's stories or the work they do in the world, but by the experience of their energies.
Yeah.
And the experience of energies without story.
And how did it feel?
And how did it feel? And in the awareness that that I am feeling it without having to hook it up to something from my past is lighting, is pulling the chains on more and more lights. It is awakening aspects of myself that I didn't know before. So with that, I want to thank Rikka for joining us on the first part of the show, for pulling on the lights, a few more lights for me. I want to thank you for pulling other chains. And I want to thank Spencer, as always, Spence, for being with us.
Yep.
And
tune in next week because we'll be back.
Please do.
All right. Thanks for listening.